Well, welcome to episode 2 of the Pirate Marketing Podcast. I'm Ben Perry, your host, and man, it has been a wild 30 last days. Lots of growth, lots of evolution, but more importantly, more of these podcasts. Today, we're talking about my top 5 lessons learned in 2022. And it was a great year. Truly it was. I have been doing a lot of end of year review, looking at the different months, looking at the growth that I had, looking at the new friends that I made, the new acquaintances that I have been able to develop. And just, if you look at a year and you're like, did I do everything that I said that I was going to do? And if the answer is no, which I think that, if you have a year and you accomplish it all, then maybe your goals aren't big enough. That was the case for me. I did not accomplish everything that I wanted to do in 2022, but there were definitely things that, like lessons that I didn't know that I needed, that came in. And I guess that's the perfect idea. Like that's the perfect way for them to come in is, life gives you what you need, not necessarily what you want, but sometimes what you need is, in a roundabout way, what you want, because in giving you what you need, it helps you to become, a better, more idealized version of yourself. And so I want to just take this time, have some notes laid out for my top 5 lessons learned from 2022. Let's just dive right into it. Lesson number 1, time is better than money. Making lots of money with no time really isn't worth it. I learned that firsthand this year. So without really going into too much detail, I guess, when you don't have any money, you're like, hey, whatever, like I'm willing to work to be able to, to make money. But once you get off of that kind of hamster wheel and you really start to really generate some income coming in, there's a vantage point that you can't see when you're not making a lot of money. You're like, oh, I'll do whatever for fill in the blank amount of money. And you don't realize until you're there that you're like, actually, I would not sell my soul for all of this money because it's just not worth it. And so I would say that if you're in this world of entrepreneurship, business owner, you probably got into this world because you really want choices. You want time choices. You want freedom choices. I think that really, when we talk about freedom, and people are like, I want freedom away from like a job, a 9-to-5. I want freedom away from, having to constantly answer to other people. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think that most people are like, they want to get out of that. I think what they really mean when they say that they want freedom is they want flexibility. And so maybe this is you. Maybe you're in a job, or maybe you're a contractor working for another business, and you're really just looking for the ability to call your own shot. Say, look, I'm going to work these hours. I'm going to get the work done. I'm going to do this over here. If I want to take some time off, I could take the time off. I don't have to feel guilty about it. Because I think that, at least for the purposes of this podcast and the listeners that I am actively working to curate, is the people that listen to this podcast, they're highly conscientious people. Like if you put them into, like if you just said, don't work for a week, they would die because they can't not be productive. They have to keep going. They have to just be doing something. And so I don't think that when people are asking for freedom, that they mean that they're just going to sit on the couch and play video games and eat Cheetos and stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the ability to do the things that you personally want to do without your money making thing getting in the way of that or dictating that. So anyway, that's a long, diatribe there to say that I learned that lesson firsthand this year. When I first started the year out, I was in a consulting role and I was working. It was 4 hours. 4 hours a week was the delivery time. And it was, it was nice. By the end of the year, I was working 180 hours a month. So I went from 4 hours a month to 180 hours a month. And while I was getting paid pretty well, I quickly realized that there's a cap on the amount of money that I bring in and the amount of time that I'm willing to devote to bringing that money in. And so that's just kind of forced me to think about, well, how can I be creative? This is America, at least, where I live. And, this is the current modern age. We have the internet. We have access to all different types of things for us to be able to learn from. So why not be creative in figuring out how can I keep the work that I want to do and the money, the revenue that I want to generate? How do I figure out how to make that money within a confined period of time? One of my mentors, Jesse Elder, he talks about Parkinson's law, right? Work expands to fit the time allowed, right? So how much time does it take for people to do their taxes in America? Like, when do they wait? Probably, April 14th, and they get it all done magically, in a day. And so it's funny, he says, Jesse, he says, the best thing about waiting last minute is that it only takes a minute. So anyway, how can I generate the same amount of money that I made this year in half the amount of time going into 2023? So that's a lesson learned. And I know that I'm a smart, savvy individual. How do I do that? And I'll be sharing with you on this podcast exactly how I plan to implement that. One of the things that I see is probably within the first quarter, I'm just going to set my schedule to be 9 to 5. Just because I need to generate a ton of momentum because I'm getting the business ramped up. I've gone from basically being in hibernation to now I need to just, there's seasons, and we're entering into a season of I got to hustle, and I got to get this content out there. So, but after that, once I get the momentum going, I see a lot of these things that I'm setting up. I only have to set it up once and then it'll keep going. But once I have the momentum going, I see pulling back, right? Working like a 9 to 5 kind of type schedule to probably working, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 60% of the week, and letting the other 40% be for just adventure and, pirate stuff, going out and being adventurous and rebellious and having leading edge experiences. That's what I plan to do. So that's my first lesson of 2022 is, time to me is more valuable in such a clear way than money. All right. Second lesson of 2022 is investing is well worth it. So in this year alone, I invested around $25,000, which to some people that's a lot, and to other people that's like, what are you talking about? Some people have $100,000 investment years. And I think that my level of investment matches the level of income that I made this year, which I think is about, see, like 1/8, probably 1/8 of what I generated. But here's the thing about investing is probably more so this year than any other year. I mean, I've built myself up over the last couple of years. I've joined different companies to apprentice inside of businesses that were successful and savvy, and really learned firsthand, directly from some of these modern day successful marketers. But there's nothing like investing in yourself, knowing that you're going to get a return on your investment, and knowing you're going to get a return on your investment because you're willing to put in the work. So I've invested in sales methodology this year, lots of sales, invested in just general, entrepreneurship and coaching, and really surrounding myself with people that are doing $100,000 months. Now, $100,000 months might not mean much to you. It might be a lot to you. But there is value in going and surrounding yourself and learning from the people that have already done it. And that's really the best thing that I can say is, like, if you just invest in yourself to go learn the lessons from that person or from those people, and you don't have to go learn that lesson, dude, you save yourself so much time and you save yourself so much money. I mean, like, it is so worth it to save all that time. And now, I mean, like, my last lesson learned, time is more valuable than money. Money's replenishable, time isn't. And so I am much more willing to just go hire somebody that either can teach me how to do it, or rather just have somebody go and do it. One of the things that, has been a sticking point for me is, I have wanted to learn how to put together funnels and just know all the ins and outs of ClickFunnels. And I know there's other things out there like Kartra and Go High Level, but ClickFunnels has been the thing that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna learn this. And last year during Funnel Hacking Live, I made a post and I was like, I'm going to learn this. I have not learned it. But the thing that I realized is that I don't need to learn that. Same way that I don't need to go and be in depth in ads. Do I know how to run ads? Yes, but I want to go hire somebody to really run the ads. Do I know how to put together with cardboard and tape, a landing page? Sure, it's a landing page. I can go and do that. But why do that when I can just hire somebody that's already invested hundreds of hours in their experience, and they could do it in a snap of a finger, where it would take me 5, 10, 15, 20 hours at least in order to get to, functional mastery. So just go hire people, and then learn directly from those people who have results, and watch your own results multiply and explode. Not only that, but then surrounding yourself with other people that are inside of those same programs, inside those same masterminds, which, by the way, if you're going to join a mastermind, talk to the other people, make friends with the other people, actually reach out and try to develop a relationship. Go first. Why else would you join a program or join a mastermind and then still continue to silo yourself? It makes no sense. So if you're going to invest however much money, make friends with those people. If at the very least, make acquaintances, because the longer that I'm in this world, and I've been in this world since 2014. So that's 8 years now, going on 9. I've been in this world for so long that I'm starting to see patterns, and there are people that you will meet today on the path, on the journey, that you will 100% see again in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years. I'm telling you, this world is so small, still so small, right? The internet marketing world as a whole is still very small, but go and make friends with those people and do your best not to not to burn bridges. Like, just remember that everybody is, going through something. Try to live your life, with as much integrity as you can. Sometimes you'll muddle through. I know that's certainly true for me. But while we're on the topic of investing in yourself, invest in your relationships. Like, this is probably one of the key lessons that I really learned this year. So that's lesson number 2. Third lesson, staying true to your principles pays off. So there was, I'm not going to name any names here, but there was an incident that happened last year that it went off the rails. And I fully believe that I was in the right, and like that this other individual definitely breached like an agreement, and they had paid me money, and then they never fulfilled on the thing in which they wanted me to fulfill for them. And they ghosted me for like 6 weeks. For 6 weeks, I'm calling, I'm texting, and like trying to get a hold of this individual, and then like no response at all. And then they come back and they say, hey, so we paid you that money. It looks like you're not going to do that for us, so you just send that back. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've been trying to get a hold of you for 6 weeks. Radio silence. And so person wanted their money back. And I was in a situation where that was all the money that I had left. And so I stayed true to my principles after some internal conflict, but I paid this person back, and that put my account to 0. And it was interesting because even though like I could have paid this person back in chunks, like they said, yeah, just pay me back. You don't have to pay it back all at once. But I decided to just do it all at once because I just didn't want to have this thing lingering over me. It's like, you know what? I don't agree that you deserve this money back, but let me just send it back. And I believed that karma would work out, both for them and for me. And I believe by doing that, it allowed me to have one of my most successful years that I've ever had in business. And so if you're going through something where your integrity is really on the line, and maybe somebody else doesn't deserve it, maybe if you show a little bit of grace, a little bit of humility, and do something that's hard. What's the saying? Like, your convictions aren't really convictions. Your principles aren't really your principles if they don't cost you something. And so this cost me dearly. But on the other side of that was an untold amount of financial wealth that came from that, and opportunities. And also, I got a really big boost of internal momentum and inspiration, because in my heart of hearts, I believed I did the right thing. And that is something that you can't buy. You can't buy class. You can't buy character. Those are things that are only earned through the trial by fire moments that come to you. And you'll know them when they show up, because it will be tough. It'll be rough. It'll be painful. But on the other side of that, when you lean outside of your comfort zone, all of that momentum that comes is something that you just can't buy. So stay true to your convictions, stay true to your principles. And I guarantee you, maybe not now, maybe not next week or even next month, but it will right itself. And the cosmic like order of things will make sure that you're well compensated. So And having that belief is like, it makes you bulletproof. It makes you bulletproof because you could really go through anything and then realize, hey, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And if you have a string of those instances over the course of 10, 15, 20 plus years, then you have all of this evidence of like shit happening to you, really bad, fucked up shit. But then you know that you're going to be okay and you're resilient. And you don't have to rely on outside sources to be able to help you because you know that you're going to be okay, even in the worst case scenario. So that's what I would say about that. Stay true to your principles. The fourth lesson that I learned from 2022 is money without health isn't worth it. So I probably let my physical health slide this year more so than any other year. And I felt justified in really doubling down on just getting up and working. And I let the stress get to me. However, it has resulted in me gaining another 20 pounds. And so while I don't like lambast myself, I know that, hey, it's just a little bit of like tap, like, hey, you probably need to start focusing on your health again. I'll just leave it at that, because it does no good for you to make all this money and then for you not to be able to have your health, for you not to be able to do the things that are the things that you wanted to do with the money in the first place. So don't lose track of your body, because it's the only body that you have. So take care of it. That's a big lesson learned from me. And then the final lesson of 2022 for me is you have more valuable skills than you realized. I mean, I knew I was pretty good. But I think that it's almost like whenever businesses buy other businesses, it's like a multiple of like what the business is actually generating. So like if it's $1 million a year business, you could probably sell it for $5 or $10 million, right? And I think that you as an individual, your particular skill set, it's worth more than you even realize, because of you're a multifaceted, multi-dimensional human being. So if you focus on your skills, those skills are probably 10x, not to bring Grant Cardone stuff in this, but if you like 10x your skills, what's the value on that? What's the value on you as an individual who shows up and you have your own unique thoughts, you have your own unique viewpoints, and somebody else might see that and go, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is absolutely outstanding. I can't wait to work more with you. How can I hire you again? Or you help me see something inside myself that I hadn't recognized before. And that was certainly what happened for me this year, is that I knew that I was pretty good, but the results that we were able to create this year really blew me away. The client that I was working with, we were able to take his business and scale it to $1 million in revenue generated in 7 months. And that's completely fascinating to me, because it's like, that's just the raw skill. That's like the raw, like, it's not even talent. It's just like going and doing the work, and what you know to be possible can be extracted. And anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is whatever value that you feel like you bring to the marketplace, just multiply that by at least 10. Because if, at least for a lot of people, whenever they're first starting out, they have imposter syndrome. And they would think, well, why would somebody hire me over hiring somebody else? Right? They have all these like, head trash. And for me, I've gone through a period of 5 years where I have just gone and worked in other people's businesses and have just wanted to show up as a person of value, wanted to show up as a person who would do what they said that they would do, went and apprenticed inside of big businesses, went and helped people to be able to put together launches, went and helped people to be able to, with their sales, with their marketing, all of this over the last 5 years, and have racked up a metric ton of experience. And that experience has allowed me to just create just a tiny fraction of value for a whole bunch of different people. But then that value compounds and compounds and compounds. So take whatever skill you have. If you're having imposter syndrome, and just think, it's probably 10 times what I think it is right now, maybe even more. And especially probably like 100 times to the right person that really values you, that values your unique sense of communicating in the world. And if they want that, if they appreciate that, if they want to be in and around that energy and they want to learn directly from you, it's a chef's kiss. It's the chef's kiss of value. So that's what I saw, and that's what I learned this year, is if this was what I was able to do in 2022, there really is no limit for what I can do in 2023. And that's what makes me so excited going into this next year. I've probably done way more like end of year review this year than I have for any other year. And it's just been amazing. Looking at the money that I made, looking at the growth that I've made, looking at the friends that I've made, the acquaintances that I've made, I guess a part of it is seeing real-time progress, looking back and being able to measure what I've done. Like, that's been truly one of the most rewarding things for me this year. So I will dock the ship there. I think this was an extra long podcast episode. I didn't mean for it to be an extra long podcast episode. I wanted to keep these around, 20, 30 minutes. This might have gone to closer to maybe 40, 50 minutes. But hey, you know what? Second podcast, second episode, whatever. Let's just set the tone for the rest of the year. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. I expect to release one of these episodes once a week. So you can come here and listen to the Pirate Marketing Podcast. And I'm going to get some bumpers. I'm going to get some trailers. I'm going to add those into these episodes. But if there's anything that you feel like you would want to hear about, if there's anything that you feel like you want to know, specifically around the areas of marketing on social media, selling high ticket, and just general philosophy of being a badass, send them in. Let me know. And rate this podcast. Go to wherever you listen to your podcast and give me a like, download them, do all the things that you do on those podcast websites, and I'll be truly, truly appreciative. So that's it. I'm Ben Perry. I'll talk to you on the next one. Savvy?